7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Are you listening?
Ricky J. Sports.
What is going on, my fellow YouTubers? This is Ricky J, baby, from Ricky J Sports, and welcome to my 20,000 subscriber video and my Q&A video as well, man. And in this video, I'm showing you guys one of my most epic fights so far. I'm using Diaz, and this was an old fight, but this was a crazy one. And then if we have time, I'm going to show you a fight where I used good old Tim Johnson, the big belly bonanza guy there. I was gonna say big belly brawler, but that's Marshall Mind's thing. We should call him the big belly bruiser. Yeah, but I'll just talk over the video right here. So enjoy the fights and let's get into the questions that you guys sent me. I can't believe I'm doing this. It's the first time I'm ever doing a Q&A. Let me know if you want to see another one or if you want to hear another one. So let's get into the first one. This is my buddy Nick. He's like, when are you going to do a face reveal? I think I'll do a face reveal when I get to 100,000 subscribers. So if you know guys that aren't subscribed, let them know, because at 100K I'll do a face reveal for you guys. Guaranteed. I'm not saying, I'm ugly. I'm not saying I'm old. I just, I want to have a little bit of privacy in my life, even though it'll be kind of cool to be working out at the gym and somebody bumps into me and says, "Are you Ricky J Sports?" That would be pretty awesome. So at 100K, I will do it for sure. Next question. Let's move on to the next question. Let's see. Who is your favorite UFC fighter? So, you guys, I'm sure you guys all know if you've been following me, my favorite UFC fighter is Georges St-Pierre, my favorite fighter of all time. I just loved following him when he was in the, was it TKO in Montreal with David Loiseau, tearing it up over there, and then coming into the UFC, beating guys like Carl Parisian, and then Sean Shirk, Frank Trigg, BJ Penn, Matt Hughes, you name it, Jay Huron. Even the Jason Mayhem Miller fight was amazing. But then when he took out that John Fitch fight was amazing. He is my favorite fighter. It sucks that he thought he was invincible against Matt Serra, and he kind of turned into a wrestler after that. But if GSP only knew that he could out-wrestle Matt Serra in the beginning, he wouldn't be so gun-shy. I found that he became gun-shy after that fight. But when he was fighting John Fitch, he wasn't gun-shy, and that was post-Matt Serra 1. But anyway, yeah, he's my favorite fighter. My current favorite fighter, it has to be Brian Ortega right now. I love Brian Ortega. He's amazing. The one thing, though, is that I really love what he stands for, about making a difference and being positive, a positive role model in our world, man. So definitely Brian Ortega. And the next question is, that question was from Filthy Wada. The next question is from my good buddy Panda Gaming. If you haven't yet, check out his channel. He has amazing streams and tips. He's just a good guy. My good friend from Alabama. He says, what is your favorite UFC fight of all time? He said, I have to say Dan Henderson versus Mauricio Shogun, or Matt Hughes versus Frank Trigg 2 would be his favorite. The Hughes versus Trigg 2 was Dana White's favorite of all time. But I would say my favorite, I didn't really give a lot of thought into these questions. Like, I just basically gave it a quick scan in that. But I would say my favorite fight, I would say, is Carl Parisian versus Diego Sanchez. That was my favorite. And I would have to say, you know what? My favorite fight of all time was GSP versus Matt Hughes 2. UFC 65, man. I remember I was still in school, just finishing up my postgraduate degree, man. Can you believe that? Yeah, I have 2 degrees. Even though I sound silly sometimes, I'm not that dumb. But anyway, that was amazing. I remember being in tears seeing GSP beat Matt Hughes, and everybody at that point thought that Hughes was too strong, too big for GSP, and GSP manhandled him. So that was my favorite fight. I even loved a lot of the McGregor fights, man. The McGregor versus Aldo. It has to be a close third, because, he just took him out, and then the reaction of Aldo was just priceless. He thought that it was an early stoppage, but then you looked at the replay and it was crazy. He was knocked out, man. So let's move on to the next question. Sorry, but KSI or Logan Paul? Now, I know this is crazy, but KSI has been doing well with his boxing training. You know, it's really hard to go against him, you know, after he beat, what's that guy, Joe Wella, you know, the UK boys. But Logan Paul's a big guy, man. Logan Paul's a big guy. If you've seen that video, KSI really had to look up to Logan Paul. And if Logan Paul can, you know, if he could train, if he can get his cardio up, I would have to say Logan Paul. You know, the one thing that KSI was doing really well was his reach. He was using that jab against Wella. And he was doing very well. You know, I didn't look at these stats, but I think Paul has, you know, a longer reach. So I don't know if KSI could be doing that, if he could be throwing that jab out there. And also KSI thinks he's invincible. So I'm going to have to say Logan Paul with the upset win. That's what I'm going to say. Next question. And that was from Quincy Reda. Next question's from Lucas Soria. Have you ever tried any mixed martial arts? Yeah, man, I have, man. I was a blue belt in Taekwondo growing up, but sadly, my family couldn't afford to pay the rest, man. Because as you move on in Taekwondo, it gets more expensive, just like in any discipline. But I was kicking butt and taking names in the sparring session. That was my favorite part of the whole, you know, practice when it came to Taekwondo. It was not learning the patterns or the kicks. It was kicking butt and taking names in the sparring session. And also, as far as sports, people, I was the MVP in basketball in high school, and I play a lot of baseball as well, and I played a lot of slow pitch as well, winning MVPs, hitting home runs. I should post a video clip of me hitting some bombs in slow pitch for you guys. And yeah, and I also played soccer. You know, I ran track as well. When I was 8 years old, I came third in Ontario in a 100-meter dash, man. It was crazy. And I remember running with jogging pants, and the coach was like, you got to roll those up because it's going to slow you down. If only I had spandex back then, maybe I could have won. But anyway, let's move on to the next question. It's from Jace. He said, have you ever, if you had to choose a UFC fighter style to learn, who would you choose? Man, that's a good question. I would love to train with GSP and learn his wrestling and learn how to implement you know, his style of mixed martial arts in the way he does it, you know, adding stand-up and wrestling. But I would love to learn Lyoto Machida's stand-up, that elusive style, that style of being, like, you know, unhittable. I would love that. And I'd also love to, you know, roll with Royce Gracie, man. That would be amazing. Royce Gracie is a legend, and I don't need to get into that, but yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, brother. Let's go on to the next one. Chris, hey Ricky, which do you prefer fighting, out of southpaw or orthodox? Well, I'm naturally a lefty, so in the game, especially in UFC 2, I don't know if you're talking about UFC 2 or in real life, I love fighting southpaw. If it was real life, I love orthodox. I don't know, it's weird. I like having my dominant hand first, so I can sneak up with you on my nice little jab action. So yeah, southpaw in the game, orthodox in real life. AF1 says, how many hours a day do you play video games? Well, brother, when you're married and you have a family, man, it's tough. But I would say maybe 1 or 2 hours a day on average, because on the weekends I have a little more time. So 1 or 2 hours a day. Michael Draper, what was your first time like playing a UFC game? What made you start a UFC based channel? So the first time I ever played a UFC game was Sega Dreamcast back in the day, and it was an Ultimate Fighting Championship game, and it was amazing. I remember creating Royce Gracie and just kicking butt and taking names. I even fought like John McCarthy. I remember in the game you could fight John McCarthy, and then at the end of the game you fight the UFC logo guy, and he was that bald silver guy, and I was so good at that game. I wish they had the online action going on in that, and that was so much fun. What made me start the channel was my knowledge of UFC, not so much of knowing the game. I just felt like I have a really good background when it comes to understanding MMA. And I've been watching MMA since 1994, so I have a really good background when it comes to the history of the sport and knowing all the fighters and that. And I thought, why not implement that? And that wasn't even my number one thing to do when opening up the channel. When I first started Ricky J Sports, it was all about doing NHL hockey videos, and that was my main thing that I was doing. And then the UFC game came out, and I thought, you know what, why not buy it? I was at GameStop or EB Games, and I saw the game, and I'm like, you know what, let's buy it, man. I'm a huge fan of the sport, and let's buy it. Even though I knew that a bunch of the games, like the THQ, the early THQ games were okay, but they weren't great. So I decided to pop up with a video, and it was that video called Counter-Striking Tips. You guys should watch it. It has over 240,000 views, and when I made the video, before that I was getting maybe 100 to 200 views a video. So I kind of rushed the video. I made a mistake about what parrying was, and I didn't think I was gonna get much action when it came to the viewership of that, and all of a sudden the video just took off and everybody started watching it. And I remember telling my wife, I'm like, wow, if I knew I was gonna get all those video views, man, I would have definitely put more time into the video. But I thought I would just kind of throw it together, and it got, right now currently I think it has 244,000 views. So then I just rolled with it. I did more tip videos, and that was gaining a lot of traction. I thought, you know what, for the love of the sport that I have and knowledge, and then the game was cool, keep on making those videos. And I also made tip videos for the baseball game as well, and I just decided to stick with MMA. But let me know if you want to see more MLB videos, man. I haven't made one of those for a while. Thanks, Michael. So the next one is Andreas, or how do you say that? Andreas. Let's say Andreas. Do you have a girlfriend or a wife? Yes, I have a wife. And guys, if you're this far into the video, 11 minutes into the video, I'm gonna start crying, man. But we are expecting our firstborn child anytime soon, man. So we're really excited. We're really excited. And you know what the cool thing is? It's a girl, man. It's a girl. So let's move on. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into it because then for the first time ever, gonna start crying while doing a video. Let's move on. Thanks for the question. Grant says, your honest thoughts on Conor McGregor. I love McGregor, man. Even though he's wacky and wild, I think it's entertaining. It really he makes fights interesting, and his style of going full throttle is amazing. And I really think that he needs to be praised for what he's done for MMA, even though a lot of people would say that he's ruined the divisions and that because he doesn't defend his belt. He makes fighting fun, and the fight against Aldo, like I said, was so much fun to watch. Even the fight against Eddie Alvarez, I couldn't believe what I was seeing when he took out Alvarez, because Alvarez was a beast. He beat, was it Rafael Dos Anjos? And Dos Anjos looked like a beast before that, and then McGregor made him look terrible. The only thing, though, is he's got to stick to MMA and not boxing. I still can't believe that McGregor's power didn't translate well when it came to boxing. What happened? He was pillow fighting Mayweather. It was terrible. But all in all, love McGregor. Even though he's crazy, it makes MMA fun to watch. Ryan Mason says, yes, Ricky, I love it. Asked you to do it, and now you're going to do it. Much love, man. That's not much of a question. It's just kind of a shout out for Ryan Mason. There you go, brother. Quincy Retta, would you fight Marshall Mind? Wow. I don't know, man. I would fight Marshall Mind. Are you talking about real life? Not in real life, because, you know, he's considered a friend. Why would I fight Marshall Mind? Even though I'm 6'2" and 185 pounds, man. I got some height, some reach, some athleticism. I wouldn't fight him in real life. But in the game, I would fight him. You know what? Watching the video where he used striking with grapplers was unbelievable. I've never seen George St. Pierre throw combos like that. So, you know, I'm not a bum to say that, you know, I would take out Marshall Mind. His striking is at another level, man. It's really amazing to see. I would love to test my skills, but the one thing that I feel I have is implementing the whole game of mixed martial arts. I feel like my clinch game isn't the greatest, but my ground game I feel like is good. It's underrated, and I could submit guys. With Marshall, you have to worry about his stand-up, but the ground game, you know, you don't really have to worry about too much because he does such a great job of fending off his opponents and getting the fight to stay on the feet. So I would love to fight him. I think if it was just kept standing, I would have a hard time, but I would use my distance, be elusive, and then maybe go for some takedowns, and who knows, maybe deny some transitions and slap on a submission like you're seeing right here. Oh, that was not a submission, that was a nice little reversal. But let's go on to the next question. PJ Torres, what movie has ever made you cry? Dude. And he's like, I can do this all day. Back in the day, 1996, I went to go and see Titanic in the theater with two of my friends, which were girls. No, nothing else was going on. We were all friends. And I remember watching the video. And when the ship, this is spoiler alert if you haven't seen Titanic, if you've been living in a closet, but when the ship sank and the two elderly individuals, the couple, was lying in bed just ready to drown and die, I lost my mind, man. I was crying in the theater, and that was so embarrassing, man. It was so embarrassing, crying. I couldn't believe it. And yeah, so that's the one movie that's made me cry. Even Shawshank Redemption, I think at the end, seeing, what's his name? Red just, go about with his life when he was getting sentenced, and he just accepted being in prison. That was one part that was a tearjerker. Yeah, not a lot of movies make me cry, but, Blow. You know Blow? The movie Blow with Johnny Depp, when he did one last heist, or one last drug deal, and he made a promise to his daughter to go with her, I think it was to Disneyland or Florida, and then he got busted and he couldn't go and see his daughter, and he's like, it didn't bother me that my buddies ratted me out. That didn't bother me. It didn't bother me that I was gonna spend 20 years in prison or whatever. That didn't bother me. What bothered me is that I broke a promise. And then it showed his daughter, and man, even right now I'm getting choked up thinking about that, and that's one part of the movie that made me cry for sure. So great question, brother. And look at PJ's going again. Cormier or Miocic? Buddy, I'm going to say Cormier. I'm going to say his wrestling, his swarming tactic, his heart is what's going to beat Miocic. And, Cormier could take a punch, and I think Cormier's going to swarm him, use his wrestling, and he's going to get the victory. Just like I just got the victory right there with that crazy, crazy kick. Oh, my gosh. That goes down as one of my favorite victories of all time. I don't know if I was losing the fight right there. It was close, but with 1 second left, a high kick ends it. Heisenberg, how does your face look? Man, I am tall, dark, and handsome. Oh, yeah. Some people say I look like Ricky Martin, but I'm going to take that as a compliment. Thanks for that question. The Flipper says, what's your favorite game besides UFC 3? Buddy, my favorite game has to be Elder Scrolls Oblivion was my favorite adventure game. Favorite point-and-click adventure game was the Monkey Island series. I love MLB The Show, baseball. What else? Grand Theft Auto was fun. The Mafia games were amazing. I'm trying to think of anything else. Let's see. I loved Command & Conquer back in the day. World of Warcraft. Warcraft 2. Yeah, those are my favorite games, man. The Red Dead Redemption as well. Great, great questions. I'm trying to think of something else. Mario Kart. I can go on forever, man. Contra. Royal Rumble WWF for the Sega Genesis. Oh, yeah. Next question. Toby Green. What got you into YouTube in the first place? Who did you watch beforehand? Well, what got me into YouTube was just my love for making videos. I always loved broadcasting, and I always loved drama. So I felt like, you know what, this is a great platform for me to showcase, what skills that I may have. So that's what got me going. What I started watching, I used to watch Angry Video Game Nerd, and he kind of got me into it. But I wanted to put a twist on everything, and I wanted to bring the positive side into gaming because he brought the negative side. So yeah, man, that's the answer to that. Let's go on to the next question. Canadian Gamer, how did your channel start growing, and how did you start? Dude, it started when I started doing UFC tip videos. Before that, I was getting, like I said before, I wasn't getting many views, man. But now, with the tip videos, I gained an audience. Yeah, man. Next question. 7 kills. Do you think Floyd will be good at MMA? No, brother. I do not think so. Have you ever seen UFC 1, Art Jimerson versus Hoist Gracie? He was a boxer with one boxing glove. Gracie took him down, and Jimerson, he tapped out before Gracie did anything. I think Gracie had the mount on him, and he was just spreading his body out, and then Jimerson had nothing. And then I think Gracie hit him with a couple of palm strikes, and then he tapped out. I think that's what happened with Floyd. Whoever fights him is going to try to go for a takedown, and once he gets down to the mat, it's going to be over. It's kind of like us CM Punk, man. You can't just learn MMA in a year or two. It's a lifelong commitment, and I think he'll be in trouble, man. Unless he's fighting a guy that just wants to stand with him, he'll have a chance. But if he's fighting McGregor or anybody that has some ground game, it's over. Wolof says, do you think Anderson Silva's legacy is tarnished with his steroids allegation? I think it is. I hate to say it, but I think it is. I loved watching Anderson back in the day, you know, doing his thing, being so dominant. And the thing with Anderson is when he would get into the fight, man, he would get into the octagon, he would hurt guys. Like, he would really hurt guys. Ask James Irwin. That gash on his face was just deadly. Even I love his first fight in the UFC when he took out Chris Lieben, because everybody thought Lieben was, you know, moving up in the middleweight standings, and he took him out. But the fact that he took steroids, what can you say about his legacy? Maybe he was on steroids the whole time, man. So I would say yes. Let me know if you disagree with that. Boy says, who is the best pound-for-pound fighter, both in UFC 3 and actual MMA? I don't know. In the video game, it's tough, man. It's tough. I love how GSP is good on the feet and on the ground in the game. Frankie Edgar is really good in this game. You know, obviously Mighty Mouse. But in actual MMA, pound for pound best, I don't really like talking about pound for pound stuff. You know, what does that even mean anyway? Pound for pound, like for how big the guy is, you know, if he was bigger, you know, would he do well against the bigger guys? You know what I mean? So the pound for pound talk is crazy. You know, Mighty Mouse, you would say Mighty Mouse, but like his division is weak. You know, he should move up and fight other guys. So pound for pound, I don't know. I'm going to have to, oh man, this is tough. It's really, really tough. I can't really answer that, man. I can't really answer it. I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. So I'm going to have to skip that. You know, you would say it's John Jones, but again, he's booked with steroids as well. So how can you say it's John Jones? And how come Tony Ferguson doesn't get any love, man? Ferguson doesn't get any love at all, you know. So let's just move on. But you know what? Let me just say Max Holloway. How about that? I would say Max Holloway's pound for pound the best in my opinion right now, but who knows? It's kind of like a tough topic. But let's move on. Mishael says, what is your dream MMA fight? I would say GSP versus McGregor. And what are your thoughts on UFC 3? I like it, man. I really do. To be honest, I really like the striking in UFC 2. I liked how you can create your own combos. In UFC 3, everything is kind of predetermined. There's a lot of guys that are doing that jab, uppercut, hook combo, and it's really hard to deal with, especially guys that pull it off really good. So, yeah, man, I'm going to have to say that UFC 3 is good, but I do miss UFC 2's stand-up game. Just the whole, you know, ragdolling and creating your own combos was so much fun. PJ Torres says, who are your top 5 favorite rappers and bands of all time? Oh my gosh. Number 1. You know, I didn't really give this much thought, but number 1, Michael Jackson. Number 2, Justin Timberlake. Oh yeah, I didn't say Bieber. Number 3, it's tough. I really like Craig David, and he's from the UK, so shout out to the UKers out there. Craig David, Boys to Men. You know, I love... You guys are gonna laugh at me, but you know it's all good, man. I love female R&B groups. So you know, when SWV, Sisters with Voices, I love them. They were great. How can you not like Destiny's Child when they had the whole team going on? But I never liked Destiny's Child when it was just the 3. You know what I mean? But man, it's really hard. I like DeBarge from back in the day. Who else? Oh, it's tough. I'm very particular on who I like, you know. And then even I was an NSYNC closet fan from back in the day as well. And yeah, but I liked mostly the style of music that I like is R&B, man. It's R&B. So I like Jodeci. Jodeci was great. Jagged Edge, guys like that, you know. Let me know who your top 5 is. Let's move on to the next question. How long would TRT C-Level Ricky last in the octagon? Dude, I would win the UFC. I used to be at 170, but the middleweight crown, I would get at least 1 victory in the octagon. Come on, if I'm, you know, juiced to the grills, as you guys would say, I would at least get 1 fight. Let me fight, come on, let me fight CM Punk at 185. I guarantee I would win. I would choke him out, man. Thanks, Stiff Boy. So next question, Luke Peterson. Have you ever been in a fight? Yes, I have, man. You know, I'll tell you one quick story. You know, a long time ago, I was at Wendy's, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning after I went out with my buddies, and this one little, he was a younger kid, and he was eating his sandwich, and it looked like he just finished working a night shift, and these two punk guys walked in, and they were kind of giving people dirty looks. And I was just sitting there with my buddies, and that little guy that just finished his night shift was sitting there eating a burger, and those two punks went up, threw like a french fry at him, and then the guy looked at one of the guys, and the one guy goes, "What are you looking at?" And then he grabbed his Coke and poured it on the guy, and then he punched him in the face. So then I got up and pulled my Jackie Chan action. I pushed both of those punks out of the way, grabbed one guy by the throat, and then the other guy, you know, all of a sudden backed up, and he's like, "Man, it's all good, it's all good." And I grabbed the guy by the throat, and I said, "Listen, if you lay a hand on that one kid again, I'm going to knock your buddy out, and then I'm coming after you." And then the guy's like, "No, guy, please, calm down, leave him alone." And then I managed to hold one guy down while the one of the ladies at the store called the police, man. And that was one of my greatest moments ever. I felt like I was Superman Ricky coming to the rescue, and the kid had a bloody nose, and he's like, "I just want to thank you so much." And I felt like a hero. Even though I was nervous, I felt like I couldn't just sit there and watch this kid get punched in the face by two punks. And hopefully those two punks learn, man, that you can't be doing that. Next question. How'd you get interested in mixed martial arts? Did mixed martial arts, man, I can't talk, make you interested in the video game? Yes, man. Yes. Name a couple of old school fighters that first got you interested. You know, Ken Shamrock, Hoist Gracie, Keith Hackney. When Keith Hackney beat Emmanuel Yarbrough, rest in peace to him, that was amazing. Seeing a guy weighing, 180 pounds, beating a guy that's 500 pounds, that was amazing. A couple of prospects you think might be someone to look forward to in the future. Prospects, I can't remember that one kid's name. That kid that had the afro but then had the braids, that had striking like Conor McGregor. I love that kid. I forgot his name, but I really like that guy. And what other YouTube channels do you really like? I have to say, you know, I watch Martial Mind, MMA Game. I kind of stick to the MMA videos, but I also like watching some cooking videos. I like watching all sorts of things. I love Ed Bassmaster. I don't know if you guys know Ed Bassmaster. Go watch the rapping drive-through video. It gets me every time. I laugh so hard. Yeah, guys like that. Jack Vale, guys like that. I really like them as well. So, what's your favorite knockout of all time? Man, this video is getting long, but we're going to keep on powering through it. Pat, my favorite knockout of all time, that's a tough one. It may have to be Anderson Silva against Forrest Griffin. It looked fake when he did it, and it was crazy. And Martin says, do you have an Xbox One? No, I don't, but I want to get an Xbox One to face you guys, and I want to play Forza Horizon 3. So yeah, one day, hopefully I'll get that and I could play it. And I answered, what's your favorite sport besides MMA? And it's baseball, basketball. I didn't actually answer this, but it's actually baseball first, basketball and hockey second, besides MMA. I also like tennis. Come on, how can you not like Roger Federer? And I'm getting into Major League Soccer, so it's called MLS. I'm really getting into that. And yeah, man. Yeah, so that pretty much ends it, man. Oh, there's one more. There's more. A couple more. What's your least favorite fighter? My least favorite fighter, I don't like Jose Aldo. Who else don't I like? Jose Aldo, I don't know. I don't really like. I'm not really against any fighter in the UFC. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, there's nobody really I dislike. If I remember, I'll put it in the comment section. Favorite comedy movie? Dumb and Dumber. It's got to be my favorite comedy movie. Gotta love it. Favorite boxer? I'm going to have to say Evander Holyfield. Favorite Canadian restaurant? Wow. I'm going to have to go with good old Mr. Sub, man. The Ricky J Mr. Sub combo that I always get is a 12-inch pizza sub with everything on it and extra sauce. Oh, yeah, man. And give me an iced tea as well on the side. What do I use to edit my videos, Irish Dragon? I use Cyberlink Power Director. Khabib or Ferguson, Nathan? I'm going to have to say good old Tony Ferguson's going to utilize his scrambles and tire out Khabib, and he's going to choke him out in the 4th round and just shock the world. How do I stay consistent, sport? You know, you just got to, when you have some downtime, you got to schedule your videos, man. You can't always work on a video, as my dog's barking. You can't always work on a video and then post it the same day. You got to work on it days before and then schedule it. And I think that's it. that is it, man. I'm going to end this video off right now. Thank you so much, everybody, for all of the amazing questions. And let me know if you want to see another Q&A in the near future. Thank you so much for 20,000 subscribers. Hopefully you enjoyed the fights in the background. And have a great day, man. This has been great. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of this video. You guys are the best. This is Ricky J, baby, from Ricky J Sports. And you know what, guys? You are awesome. See you later.